What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Coach. Today we're going to be talking about weight selection for strength workouts. This is a consistent question I get from several different angles, and they're all good questions because sometimes what is written on the board is not always the best option for you. So we're going to go over a few different categories of people that tend to ask me this question and what a general concept of what you should be doing would be. So the first category is the person who trains every day or almost every day. This person needs to trust the prescription, meaning whatever is written up on the board, it's really important that you stay as close to what is written as possible because it's written to account for you training over the next 3 months, not just training that day. That has to do with how much time is needed between workouts for recovery. It has to do with what the plan is for the next 3, 4, 5 months. So going kind of wild on your own and making some weird judgment calls if your goal is to train every day and stay healthy, probably not a good idea. So if you have a question about why something is written the way it is, feel free to ask your coach. If they don't have a good answer for you, they'll ask me, and we'll get a good answer for you back, so to make sure that you're comfortable with what we're doing and you understand what the game plan is for you. So again, if you're training daily, you really want to trust the prescription, trust what's written on the board and go with it. If something's weird for that day, talk to your coach. All right, so the second type of person that tends to ask me this question is the person that trains 2 to 3 times per week. So maybe you only back squat every couple of weeks, or maybe even every 3 weeks, or bench press or deadlift, whichever strength movement it might be. For you, you're gonna not have to worry quite so much about accumulated fatigue, meaning the back squats we did the week before that you missed, you're not having to accommodate for. So it's actually to your benefit to challenge yourself for the day. So the best route to go with that is typically to ask the coach what they recommend that you do. But an example would be if we have, for example, let's say 5 sets of 5 reps on the back squat, and let's say the group is doing all of their reps at 73%. Well, for you, for that day, it might be a better stimulus, since you haven't squatted in a while, to actually start at a weight that just feels moderately heavy and build up over those 5 sets until you hit a point where maybe your technique starts to break down a little bit or your reps start to slow down quite a bit. We don't want to see you fail. Failing is a great way to get yourself hurt, but we do want to see you challenge yourself. And so if you're not training frequently, really frequently, meaning you're not training every day, we don't have to necessarily go exactly by the prescription, but we do know what we're looking to see happen. So again, communicate with your coach, make sure you're telling us how you're feeling. Even though you're not squatting, you're doing lots of other things that might be making your squat a little bit stronger, so it can be a good thing to push a little bit on that day if you're training 2 to 3 times per week consistently. All right, the next category of people is going to be the people that have been out for a while. Maybe you had a 3-week vacation, maybe you took a break and you were out for 2 or 3 months, okay? It's very important that we don't pretend like that break didn't happen. So what I always recommend for someone that's been out for a long period of time is to use a training max for all their strength work. So let's say that you're the kind of person that likes to train every day, or maybe you train 2 to 3 times a week. We don't want to pretend that your body is doing what it was doing when you were at the peak of your fitness. So it's important that we take 85 to 90% of your all-time 1-rep max and use that to choose percentages and different weights that we might be using. That's going to keep you safer. It's also going to allow you to train more frequently because you won't feel quite as sore. You won't be beating yourself up trying to hit numbers that you really shouldn't be trying to hit. So that's really important. And I see a lot of people try to kind of let their ego drive and pretend like they're in just as good a shape as they were before they left 2 or 3 months ago. That is not the case. You will have received some form of a step back, but the fastest way to get back to where you were is to take a little bit off and build your way back up without getting hurt. So for the people that have been out for a while, again, that's like 3 weeks or more, you're going to want to talk with us and get a training max for yourself. All right, and you're going to want to use that for a long time, not just one day. You're going to want to use that for quite a while until you retest 1-rep maxes or 3-rep maxes or 5-rep maxes, so you have good numbers again. All right, now the last category is going to be our beginners. So if you're a beginner, the best thing you can do is communicate more with your coach, because you probably have more questions than just what weight you should be using. Our biggest focus with beginners is making sure that not only are we challenging the weight that you can move, but we're also making sure that your movement is continuing to get really, really good. The best thing you can do to get stronger over time is to have the best technique you can as early as you can. So the sooner you have good technique, the faster you can accelerate your training, because you won't get hurt as often. You're just gonna train more efficiently. You won't have to deal with like little nagging things that some people that try to rush themselves and don't develop good technique have to deal with. It's actually not too uncommon for me to have people that have been training for a very long time be inhibited by a technical fault that they didn't correct early on. And if you maybe that resonates with you, maybe you've been training for a long time and you've got a technical issue that is preventing you from moving more weight, I would strongly encourage you to focus on fixing that technical issue far more than focusing on just putting more weight on the bar. It's very important. Anyways, if you have questions about that, ask me. The biggest thing you can take from all of these kind of scenarios is that communication with your coach is always the thing to do. So maybe you're not feeling too hot that day, or maybe you're feeling really good and you're wondering why you can't challenge yourself that day. Maybe you can, or maybe we need to make some accommodations for you to make sure that you're staying on track with the programming and that you're getting the most progress out of this that we can possibly give you. So remember, if you aren't sure, always ask. And I hope this answers some questions for some of you out there. If you have more questions about trusting the prescription, that's a much bigger conversation. Happy to have it. But yeah, great work, guys. See you in the gym this week, and I hope that we have a good month of training in March. We have our peaking cycle, so we're going to be hitting lots of 1 rep maxes by the end of March. And yeah, pretty excited. As always, check out our sponsor, Wired Coffee, out in Collegedale, Tennessee. If you haven't been there yet, they're awesome. They make great coffee, great drinks, much better than Starbucks. So check it out. All right, guys, have a good evening.